How are you, Mr. Dan?
Yes, ma'am.
How are you? Thank you. Captain Allen, you met Captain Allen?
Yes.
Well, let's go in here. On his way. Let's put this one, and I'll put this one on so that he can sit probably on that side. And it'll be, I'll put the thing on the door that So you're going to be over there. Okay, well maybe we'll sit in this area then. That's a good idea. Here, maybe you can sit there somewhere, and maybe the general can be right there, because then it's easier to talk that way. So we'll see. Okay, in here. Then if you want to take this.
Okay.
If you want to do that, or should I do that?
Oh, yeah, I'll just write.
Okay, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then let me get one other piece of paper, and,
The general's leaving us, so trying to get it.
I'm watching the hallways for him. In the meantime, let me just kind of go, say what's going to happen. The general will kind of explain why we're here, and then he'll swear you in. Then he'll go over a couple of forms like the Privacy Act and stuff like that. And if you have any questions before, that, just feel free to ask. And then we'll have the conversation. Are you over at Paycom now?
No, I'm unemployed.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. So let's put this here. And okay, yeah. Why don't you go out and check out the? I let people know if you see a wandering police dog, it has to be in the library. So much so that, so I think it's easy. Yeah, you can always do that and both the fingers and the
You're not in any trouble. Okay, so let you know that there's nothing going on here. But there's some activities that happened to you in the past, recently, down to INOC and stuff, and that's what I would like to ask more of. So, are you comfortable? You need any water?
No, I'm good.
You good? Okay. Where are you from originally?
Nebraska.
You're not under oath, so this is a pretty question.
Grew up in Nebraska.
Okay. How long you been out here?
20 years.
Okay. Now I'm I want to read this to you. Okay. So yeah, I want to just make sure that there was a situation where either were fired, let go, or released from work in a questionable manner. So that's why I'm asking you about it, because I'm finding out how this happened and the conduct of the folks that you worked with. Then I get to swear you in. So this is real quick, easy. When you raise your right hand, just do you swear or affirm that the information you will be providing is the truth, the best of your knowledge or belief?
Yes.
And then have the Privacy Act statement, and then a thing called the Statement to Ensure Objectivity. And this is a Privacy Act statement. You may have seen this. Please read it, understand it. And then a couple other things, also to make sure that we stay objective. If anyone asks you what we talked about in this investigation, just tell them that you've been instructed not to discuss anything. So,
Even with my personal counsel, or?
personal counsel is different. You mean like an attorney or?
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Because that person is on your side. So yeah, by all means. We want to make objectivity. So if any of your past former colleagues, somebody like that, or anybody else that we may talk to, pick your brain, that's where you don't want to talk about it. Absolutely, have every right to talk. Then of course, try not to discuss with other people outside of your internal chain of command. And you don't want to discuss with other people the nature of the investigation or identify any other persons that we may need to interview, or the identity of any other person. So we come up and you mention John Smith in our conversations. You don't need to tell anybody that you brought John's name up. Type thing. So basically, just keep everything in this room. And if you do not know of other people who are being interviewed, if you do know of other people, just kind of limit them and say, hey, I heard you went in and talked to that guy Beard. What did you talk about? Not that you would, but I have to let you know that. And then, of course, if you would sign and acknowledge that we did that. But yes, your personal counsel is not an issue, because that person is on your side. They're defending your rights.
And then Captain Allen thing.
You want to type in? Okay.
And I'll take notes as well too on that.
Okay. Now, we signed and got you going here and get this thing started. First off, I need your name, so your full name,
Daniel Clark Brothers.
and your position or your job title where you work currently.
I'm unemployed now.
Okay. Where did you work before?
For General Dynamics as a HBSS administrator at the INOC.
Okay. How long were you there for?
About 6 months.
And the contracting organization that you work for?
General Dynamics.
Okay. And you worked in the INOC of the G2 warrant facility?
Right.
What kind of, so do you have a phone number we can reach you?
Cell number
Okay.
808-321-4023.
Okay. The other questions do not apply. So, with that, I will ask you some personal questions. First of all, do you know somebody by the name of Jeff Havelock?
Just from working at the INOC.
Okay. Did you have any encounters with Mr. Havelock? Work collegial type stuff?
Not like one-to-one type of, you know.
Okay. What about Mr. Fitzgerald, Mike Fitzgerald?
Other than just him doing the manager type of stuff and the incident on 28th February.
Okay, when Mr. Fitzgerald, how did you work with him, or how did he work with you? I mean, you see him like once a week, twice a week, every hour?
The only time I saw him was when he'd come to the bulletin board hanging at the enterprise service desk and look at the schedule for the day, or, you know, other than that, I got my direction or orders through someone else, through the
You
enterprise.
mentioned an episode, what, on the 28th? Prior to the 28th, did you ever have any run-ins with him?
No.
Did you ever have any conversations that could have been misconstrued as
No.
angry or anything like that? Okay, can you tell me what transpired on the 28th of April?
I got an incident report from Fort Bragg. I believe that's where they're at, the Giza Central HBSS administrators, saying there is a possible detection of a virus on a top secret computer in Japan.
Okay.
So I talked to the McAfee subject matter expert named Luke Bonnet over the
How do you
top
spell that name, Mr. Bonnet?
Bonnett, I think.
Okay. Where does he work?
He's, I believe, in Kentucky, Fort Knox or Fort Bragg, one of those
Okay.
two.
Okay.
So we went to the Stu phone on a top secret conversation, and he detailed how this virus has attacked the workstation, and then he said, okay, forward the 2 emails that I sent you on JWIX to your IA manager.
Okay.
So I forwarded, just hit reply all, and added in JT Ash, Russel, Jaralba, Jason Tomita, Mike Fitzgerald, and that was about it, and hit send.
Okay.
You know, when you hit reply all, it included Daryl Pelt, Rich Parker. Luke Bonnet said don't include him on the email because he doesn't have a need to know. So I removed him, and it also included Lieutenant Colonel Derek Grimes from the Pentagon.
Okay.
He's the program manager for HBSS. He's overall responsible for it. So I hit send, and 10, 15 minutes later, Mike Fitzgerald says, get your shit and get the fuck out of my building now. I'm like, okay,
Okay. When you said that, who is there anyone around?
There's at least a half dozen people standing around.
Okay. And did he make Mr. Fitzgerald after that make any more comments to you?
Yes, I was sitting there typing up a weekly status report, and he was kind of like to the back of me. I turned around and I was like, what's going on, I'm completely surprised, and I said, what's going on, Mike? He said, I told you to get your fucking shit and get the fuck out of my goddamn building. I was just like, I'm not leaving until I find out what's going on,
Yeah.
And he said, for Vince, grab his fucking badge and escort him out of my goddamn building. And Vince DeJesus is the enterprise service manager, or service desk manager, kind of went, he didn't want to get involved, but, he kind of took a couple steps towards me. I stood up. I said, I'd like to know what the fuck is going on, Mike. Why are you yelling at me? Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's the only profanity I used towards Mike. I mean, I wasn't, I'm going to
Understand.
stuff like,
Then what transpired?
And then I picked up my coffee cup and water bottle, some papers that I had, and then went to the front door, took my badge off, handed it to Vince, walked out the security gate, and Jeff Havelock was at his car getting stuff out of his passenger side. And I was like, Mr. Havelock, I'd like to know what the fuck is going on. Why am I being asked to leave, And
Did he acknowledge? Or did he say anything?
he I don't think he knew what was transpired, but he was like, kind of surprised. He's like, well, I'm not sure what's going on, but, the way you're talking to me, it's no wonder they asked you to leave. I was like, well, I'm going to call the Pentagon and apprise them of the situation here, because this is unsat.
Have you ever seen, ever heard of anything like that happening
Yes.
before? Okay.
Not the hostile type of thing, but the get rid of the contractor that they don't like kind of thing.
Okay. How did you come across that kind of information? Just over the water cooler, or?
The guy who hired me, his name was Justin Helpenstein, and just like, through general talk, conversation, it came up that the INOC managers changed the position description, so he no longer fit the requirements for that position. Because Justin Helpenstein was the senior General Dynamics technician there. So anything that the management wanted had to go through him. So if something that was outside of the contract, Justin would say, no, sorry, we're not doing that. It's not in the contract. So they got rid of him. They changed his position description, so he had to transfer to Georgia or someplace like that. And at my job interview, both him and Justin Salcido said, well, it's a difficult working environment because the client is difficult because of their unrealistic expectations.
Okay.
Even before I accepted the job, I've dealt with difficult people before, and so I was like, well, can't be that bad, can it? Well, yeah.
Okay, so you were warned ahead of time that this place could be kind of rough. When you arrived and were welcomed, how were you brought into the office? Did you have a sponsor? Or someone that we would consider a sponsor?
His name is Craig. I can't recall his last name. He works at the help desk night shift, and he took me around and got me my badge up at P101 and introduced me to like all the people there and stuff like that. But just introduced me to everybody. That was about it.
Did you receive any? Probably your counsel is asking the same kind of questions. Did you receive any type of training as far as do's and don'ts policies within the facility?
Just the required IA training, that the Army IA training or the DIS IA training, whatever they do that yearly. That's about the only thing.
Who was the highest ranking person that welcomed you and sat you down and just bring you on board? Was Mr. Havelock or Mr. Fitzgerald do it?
Not really. I mean, they had a meet and greet kind of, hey, how you doing? They never sat you down and give policy and procedure type of thing,
Okay. Or their expectations?
Not really.
Okay.
I can recall.
Did anyone ever tell you what their expectations were, or just say, here, go do this?
It's, pretty much run gold disk or find out what network card works with this WISE terminal, help out at the help desk, stuff like that.
Did, once you, when you were going back to the episode where Mr. Fitzgerald told you to leave, did he ever explain? Did he ever make a comment on why?
No.
Just came in and did that?
And I asked 2 or 3 times, what's wrong, Mike? What did I do? And then when I was at the corporate offices down on Lagoon with Craig Nagasawa is the Pacific manager, Fitzgerald called his office while I was sitting there. And Craig goes, hi, Mike, what's going on? And he said, well, the reason I asked Dan to leave is because he CC'd Lieutenant Colonel Derek Grimes in the email, and he's not in that chain of command. I'm like, he's the one who originated the emails.
Was it clear?
Yeah.
Okay, because that would be the first thing is maybe send something to somebody that has a proper level.
No, he's the top, the
Okay.
program manager for what I was working on.
Okay. And that was the rationale that was given to your supervisor. Okay. Did anybody contact you afterwards from the INLC?
No.
Okay, so ever since that day, then you've maintained a distance from them and no contact.
Right.
While you were there, what were your perceptions as far as trusting others working in there? Did you have a chance to work with others, or were you pretty much independent in your work?
They pretty much just gave me a task, like run scans on a server. I mean, it really wasn't a team effort there.
Okay, so you was just kind of a directed mission just for you. However, did you sense though, like a camaraderie or a togetherness in the office, or did you sense more of a I don't want to say hostility, but a feared independence?
it's
People maintained, just kind of kept themselves.
Kind of
in
managed
fear.
through fear, I think.
Okay,
That's
and
the environment.
how would you describe in what ways would you describe that? What kind of techniques or what kind of things did you see or hear?
Well, for one, I was eating lunch and Havelock comes in, taps somebody sitting 5 feet from me on the shoulder. He goes, "What's he doing?" I turn around, I'm like, I've got all my stuff sitting on my desk and I'm eating.
Speaking to you out there.
Yeah. And, so a couple hours later, Russel was a guy that he tapped on the shoulder, and he goes, "He wasn't happy that you're surfing the internet." I was like, "I'm on my lunch hour." I mean, I'm not going to any sites that are, questionable.
Right.
I'm reading about how Lockheed got hacked by opening files, infected files. Another thing is, they would call up my company manager, Craig Nagasawa, and say, and that me voicing my dislike of that situation led to Mike Fitzgerald calling Craig Nagasawa up and saying, "Well, I don't think Dan can follow instructions." I spent 22 years in the military.
Yeah.
Okay.
How long were you working there before when the first time erupted it was kind of uneasy to you? Was it that lunch?
I would say, yeah, October. I didn't really think anything of it. I mean, Craig Nagasawa of General Dynamics never apprised me that Fitzgerald made a complaint that I couldn't follow instructions in October. If I would have known that in October, I would have been out of there,
Sure.
But when they moved me to the help desk, without even contacting General Dynamics and getting approval to change my job description, then Mike Fitzgerald calls up my company manager again and says, Dan's not a team player. I'm busy, compiling documentation and getting software and consulting with the Giza Central HBSS admins, and they didn't even say, "Well, you're now part of the help desk." They just moved me there and set me there. "This is now your chair."
Right.
Didn't say, "You're now part of the help desk."
Did you ever see Mr. Havelock or Mr. Fitzgerald make comments like what happened to you, as far as like people eating, surfing the net, or any other kind of thing? Was that just a one-time issue?
Yeah, that I know about towards me, I guess.
Did you ever hear of them, whether through others, or see or directly hear them scorn anybody or chastise anybody in a humiliating way?
Not that I was aware of.
Okay.
So,
How much interaction did you have with other people in the room, or in the building? I mean, did you read somewhat alone?
no, I mean, we were sitting all in about maybe 6 to 8 people in a room. And,
Okay. Yeah, I've been to a lot of these places, so it's typical, everybody got your cubicles, it's dark, and everybody's got their screens open.
Yeah, just like small talk, stuff like that, but most of the time you're working,
Okay. Did there ever time did you ever come to your attention that Mr. Havelock was having some issues with other members of the team?
no.
Ms. Peach, is there anything that you think should be addressed that I haven't?
Just a couple housekeeping
Yes.
questions. Okay, when did you get to INOC?
Beginning of September,
Of,
2011,
2011, and then when did you leave? When were you? no longer-
February 28, 2012.
mean,
I'm glad you said February 20th, I was thinking April 20th, and I'm like, man, this is pretty fast. Okay,
Yeah.
April 20th, got it.
and when Mr. Fitzgerald told you to get your stuffs together and leave, who else was present?
Christy Burton, Marty
Okay,
Thompson.
like Christy Burton.
Yeah,
Is she a contractor or an employee?
yeah, she works for GD.
Okay, and who's the other one?
Marty Thompson,
Contractor or?
yeah, for GD.
Okay.
Vince DeJesus, he's a GS there.
Mhm.
ISOM Majors, ISOM, Mayor or Majors.
Oh, and the last name, how do you spell again?
Majors, I think.
Oh, Majors is his last name?
Yeah, ISOM Majors. He's,
Majors, okay.
I don't know if he's federal or contract.
I'll just say Mr. Majors, okay.
There's also a guy named Kerry, I don't know his last name. And then
Carol.
other people were coming out of their offices, and because Fitzgerald was yelling so loud, they were coming to look at what was going on. And, you know, I didn't, you know, recall who else was standing around there.
And did anybody at your General Dynamics tell you what their expectation of you was?
I was sent an email of my position requirements from Jason Tomita.
Your position record, you had, okay, would you happen to have a copy of that position requirement?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. It's like a position description, a position?
No, it's, well, yeah, I mean, like answer phones, help out here, set up the
Mhm.
server,
Okay, yeah. Mhm.
include these people on every email you send,
Okay.
you know.
Duties and, yeah.
Yeah, that would be
Specific
good. Mhm. To have, and did anybody from INOC tell you what their expectations of you were?
We had a meeting with Fitzgerald and Tomita the same day that pretty much went over the same thing in the email.
In this here position requirement?
Right.
Who was your, did you answer to anybody in the INOC? Or did,
As far as a senior GD person, it'd be Julian Salcido.
okay, and Julian was in the INOC?
Yeah, he was in the back room where all the other
He considered
sat.
his, your chain of command?
Yeah, for the company, but for like work-related stuff, it went basically from Jason Tomita to me, and then, you know, then, or from Fitzgerald to Tomita, then to me.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but I was instructed by Craig Nagasawa to include Julian Salcido in things also, so there was a company representative there
Well,
also.
And Julian is the company rep, right?
Yeah,
Or
he's
still
the
is that right?
senior technician there.
So that day, on the 28th, when this happened, that was it? That was the last day that you were there?
Yeah.
And that it was told you not just to go for the day, but go forever?
I was told not to set foot on Fort Shafter. I was like, well, they can't really do that.
Now, who said that?
General Dynamics advised me not to
Oh,
set foot there
okay,
anymore.
okay.
That was an advisory, not
I was like, well, I'm retired, so if I need to go use a commissary or something, they
Sure.
can't tell me I can't do that.
It's
you
kind
know.
of unenforceable.
But as far as, you know, I don't want anything to do with them really, you know.
The down check flags that.
Right.
How did your clearance get yanked? I mean,
That same day of the incident, I went to the IG, filed a hostile working complaint against Fitzgerald. And then the next day, I was advised by my company manager, Craig Nagasawa, that my clearance was pulled.
and then
And
Craig advised
yeah, he said that he can't release the statement that Jeff Havelock gave to the G2, or the user pack G2, because of privacy concerns. I was like, okay, you know.
So did your company put any paperwork in to have your security clearance, the process of getting it suspended, or
No.
do you know that it was suspended, other than just?
They said, I applied for another job and they came back saying you have a loss of jurisdiction, which means I also called Disco the other day and they said a loss of jurisdiction just means you don't need access to that SCI clearance anymore.
Right.
You know, I was advised that, oh, it's completely gone, you know.
The SCI portion.
Right,
Or
or
the
the
chief-
access to whatever they had over there, you know. And so they advised me, you know, if you get hired on someplace, they put in an RRU and it takes like 45 days to re-adjudicate your clearance. But still, Havelock submitted a letter to the G2 over here, which then he went to ACAVS, which he should have went to the company's security manager. The industrial clearance can't be just yanked like that.
Who did Havelock submit the letter to?
Raul Escibano.
Oh, to the
Yeah.
G2. Uh-huh.
And then, because Juan Castro is the GD security manager, and he was like, yeah, this happens a lot with federal managers circumventing the process. I mean, if you look at the adjudication manual, there's the presidential executive orders detailing what needs to happen, and they completely circumvented this.
And in essence, if I could understand, it's sort of like they read you off the program.
Yeah, well, well, he no longer works here, so he doesn't need it.
Right.
You know, technicality.
Yeah, but on the other hand, it was not good property.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a 4th Street on it. But I'm familiar with it, you come on, go off.
But I still have a red flag that I have to answer to every time I get
Yeah,
hired
derogatory,
someplace
yeah,
else.
you've got derogatory information floating, I understand.
And I was told by General Dynamics that Havelock put into the JPass record that I was a security threat, or I was the one showing hostility, and my job performance was in question. And that's not something you put into JPass.
Is there something said, or does it have his name on it? I mean, how?
That's what the security, Juan Castro said or sent to Craig Nagasawa, and he told me kind of third hand.
Okay.
I'd never seen the report or what was entered, and that, you know,
Well,
they
it's easy
said,
for
well, we
people to
can't
say,
release
well,
it.
you know, Joe did this, but is there something that shows Joe's signature or some kind of data, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That it really came from Joe and not just some anonymous entry, you know, so I would be curious to talk to Mr. Castro and see what he's.
But I did a Freedom of Information Act to DSS for all entries in my JPass account, and they just sent me a printout of the last 3 companies, or the last 20 years of my security clearance of who had it, you know, the military or the Navy, another company I worked for in GD. I was just like, I already know this. I want the statement that was entered into JPass, not that I have a clearance, you know.
What, if
So-
I may, I know you mentioned been in the military. What did you do? What branch?
The Navy,
Okay.
What's JPass?
Joint Processing and Access System, something like that, yeah.
Or joint personnel?
Yeah, something like that. It's an acronym for.
It's a joint thing, so that way if I went to Pearl Harbor or I went to Hickam and I needed to access, the folks there could go into the joint system and see me and grant me access
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
based on the criteria or not. In the old days, you had to send stuff ahead of time, you know, because the Army had its own thing, so if you needed to go to a Navy base to do work, they had to send like 2 weeks in advance.
Okay.
Well, sometimes you don't have 2 weeks leave, you just gotta show up. And so JPass was created several years ago, allowing all of us to sort of share the same information. So that way, whoever's in the system, you're in it, I'm sure, then that way you could go to a Navy, Marine facility, and they would grant you access.
So if we went in and you would be there, what would it show? You have a clearance, or this red flag, or?
I'm not sure. I don't have access to it. I just have the printout saying GD accessed your security clearance world IT systems access your security clearance, the Navy access your you know, who was the owner of the security clearance the last 10 years or, you know.
It would be hard, I mean, because it's open, one could go to our security officers here, managers, and just type in and
The
see what comes
FSO would have
up.
to do it. Because I called Disco and they wouldn't give me any information. They'd say, your FSO has to call us, and,
Right.
you know, so,
Plus, if they don't know who you are, you're just a voice.
right.
So then, wait, that was a good thing.
Yeah, because that would freak me out.
Yeah, social engineer your way in.
Yeah, all of a sudden, I mean, you could call with my name and they go, oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
About how many contractors in INOC?
Maybe 20.
And are they all General Dynamics?
Some are, I think, URS. A lot of them are General Dynamics. Some are URS. Can't remember the others. Can't recall them.
Do they, from talking with them, do they all have the same feeling about a not teamsman-like atmosphere there?
No, they never really talked about that. Not that I'm aware of, you know.
It's a 24/7 operation.
No.
Okay.
They are open till like 10 o'clock at night. They have because they have to support Japan also and Guam, so they have a night help desk from like 3 until 10 or, you know, or 2 until 10 or whatever. But from like 10 till 6, they spin the locks.
And so Fitzgerald got upset with you because you included in the email a Lieutenant Colonel, what was the Lieutenant Colonel's name?
Derek Grimes?
Grimes, okay. In this email,
Right.
and he got kind of torqued on that.
But the detection was reported by the ARC site administrator, not by the HPSS system. The HPSS system feeds everything into this great big database, and the administrator of that system went, wait, what's this, you know? Some red flag. So she emailed Derek Grimes' office. He emailed the Giza Central, and Giza Central emailed me. So he knew about the detection anyway.
And the email was like, what's going on, or check it out, or what was
Right,
the content
the-
of the email?
The dates, times, I had 2 emails of like, one was at this date, on this time, on this computer, this IP, you know, the specifics of the computer, and the other one was Excel spreadsheet of what the HPSS server reported back to ArcSite.
You know,
Like this file was changed at this time, or this file was attempted to be changed.
this conversation gives me another question. You mentioned earlier that Mr. Halperstein
Helfenstein.
was removed. Do you think there was motive? In other words, that they found that was an excuse to move you out? And what would be the motivation to do that? Why would they want you to relocate or get out of it?
I don't think they wanted the software on their system. I don't think they wanted the Pentagon poking around in their systems.
Okay.
Because they failed their inspection miserably.
When was that?
Before I was there. So they had like a 30-day or 60-day ATO authorization to operate. Because if they didn't show improvement in their security of their systems, then their ATO goes away.
And so so it wasn't that they were trying to save money or give the position up or bring somebody else in. It was just because of the way you conducted your business. They wanted you to stop your work because no one else was dealing with the Pentagon, or?
Yeah, I mean, that's speculation. I don't have any evidence saying, yeah, they singled me out
Well, that's
because
fine.
they didn't want this software on their systems, and they didn't want the Pentagon, you know, knowing what they're doing. And
Well, it wasn't like 2 days later they call and say, hey, we want the slot, Mr. Brother slot filled, and we got a guy.
yeah, there's already a position on GD's website for the HPSS admin.
Okay. So well, it wasn't like that, because sometimes that happens. It's like, oh, you were fired, and ironically, 3 days later, there's now another new guy in the position.
Yeah,
So, okay, so nothing like that, just.
but not that I'm not I don't know if they hired anybody. I don't work for GD anymore because they said, well, since you don't have a security clearance, we'll send in a rebuttal to the G2. If they don't reinstate your clearance, then we have to let you go. So now, 2 weeks ago was my last day.
Okay.
So it is what it is.
When you say they didn't want the software, who's the they?
Like Fitzgerald, Havelock, Tomita,
Oh, the government,
yeah,
the
the federal
TS.
management there. That's just speculation.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have any proof that they.
Did they ever make any conversations or any discussion or remarks about, oh, here's the Pentagon looking down our throats again, or we got that, the 5,000-mile screwdriver, or any types of comments, remarks that would have implied that the Pentagon was kind of snooping around or meddling?
Every email that they wanted, that I sent out concerning the system that I was working on, they wanted to be included on it, even if it was just a small technical email. They wouldn't put the server into a production network, even though the Pentagon was like, why are you doing it this way? And I wasn't included on any of these meetings to do this. And I was the one who had to set the server up. So
No one ever gave you a reason. They just
No.
said do it.
And HBSS is a very well documented system. It's a commercially available system which you can go out and purchase for $10,000 and put it on your home network if you really wanted to. But it's for enterprise systems, size companies. But it's very well documented both from McAfee and from DISA. So they wanted this documentation, and I'm still dumbfounded. Like, what do they want in this documentation? I mean, I could hand them this thick of documentation, and that would answer everything they ever had. So I went to Jason Tomita and said, "What do you want in this documentation? Because it's already pretty much covered in the McAfee manuals and the DISA STIGs." He said, "Well, if you get hit by a bus, we want to be able to give your documentation to another person to finish your install." So that's what I did. I made a 75-page step-by-step JWIC specific document. Go to this top secret website, download your certificates, download your updates from DIA at this IP address, stuff that's not specific to like NIPR or CIFR. And they were, well, this isn't what we want. So they call up my company manager, said he's not doing what we want. So yet another complaint, and that's exactly what Jason Tomita said he wanted, a step-by-step specific document. So if I quit or get hit by a bus or whatever, they can hand it to somebody else. And 3 weeks after this incident, Craig Nakasawa, I was doing admin work at the corporate offices, and he asked, "Hey, do you know the passwords to the server?" I was like, "It's been 3 weeks since I logged in, and I don't remember them." But on the very first page of the documentation, I made up a table with usernames, passwords, and so I told him, well, to the left of my computer monitor, where all my documentation and paperwork was sitting, there should be a sheet with all the usernames and passwords on it for that server that I was setting up. If they destroyed that, there's really nothing I can do for them. And so he called up the guy who was finishing the server, and I don't know if they destroyed that documentation or not. But every password that I had on those servers in that system was documented. So if they destroyed that, there's nothing I can do for them, because each username had a different password to log in. So,
Okay.
and they're all 16-character, uppercase, lowercase, special symbol, letters, and after 3 weeks of not logging in, I didn't remember.
What does this HBSS server do?
It's an antivirus and security server. You can enforce like reading and writing to CD-ROMs, like plugging in a USB thumb drive. It'll prevent it or make it only read-only, or if you have permission, you can read and write to, like a CD or a thumb drive, to prevent another WikiLeaks type of thing, And then it also updates your McAfee antivirus and like the policies and the settings for your access protection rules, firewall rules, your browser setting, you can do pretty much anything from this.
Okay, I think that completes what I need to know, and I appreciate your time and stuff. And
Okay.
Do you have anything you want to add, or
No, I don't.
tell us? or-
yeah, I'm sure that, you're working on your own, you're doing stuff. This, like I said, has nothing to do with you. If anything, we are concerned on what happened to you, and I'm trying to get to the truth here.
Yeah. But when, back in September, October, Craig Nagasawa asked, he visits the INOC every once in a while, and he asked, how are you doing? I was like, oh, it's okay, it's going okay. But he goes, if it doesn't work out here, don't quit. Because I've had 2 guys just walk off the job here and quit the company, And if it doesn't work out, we can place you someplace else, And so that's kind of the working environment there. They piss people off so much that they just walk off the job, or they single them out and change the position description. So I was there for 6 months, and I seen at least one person per month either leave or go someplace else, or
You may not know this, but I will ask anyway about, you said, changing job descriptions. We might need to find out, talk to somebody, but just, if the government contracts for a certain job, you think that then if they change the job description, that really changes the job.
yeah,
And so there should be some.
change the statement of work.
I can't as a government, in uniform, and you're working in my shop, I just can't say, okay, I stopped doing this, and now from now on you're dusting the shelves.
Yeah,
So, I understand there's sometimes modifications, okay, you're gonna work on that computer, do the same work, but this time you're gonna work in that room, but.
yeah. But there's also a clause that they may enforce, or I don't know if the contract had it, and anything else that they feel that you need to do, or, But I had no time to say, well, this isn't in my job, or, I was just helping out where I could,
Well, if you were doing computer work and actually do other kinds of computer work, and that may be within the scope of your duties, but
Yeah.
then they get up and say, okay, now we want you to dust the shelving. Wait a minute, that's not within the scope.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And then the thing, so Mr. Nagasawa
Yeah.
would have some information on,
Yeah, you should.
okay.
Do you know who the COR was for the contract? On the government side?
No, I don't.
Sorry, I keep thinking of what we're done, and you say something like, well, that's brings up a question. There may be a chance that I may come up with another question, so I may, give you a call and
Okay.
ask you that, pop in. Sometimes it may be just a telephonic thing. Hey, what about this? So, again, I'm trying to find out everything I can, what transpired and why, and what's going on. So I'm looking at Mr. Fitzgerald's conduct, as well as Mr. Havelock's. And of course, you have the situation with Mr. Fitzgerald, so that's why we asked you to come in, as you can tell.
Do you have an email address?
Yeah. Brothers_D
Oh, yeah, that's right, okay.
at hotmail.com.
Okay,
They'll say we reached you somehow.
yeah, Hotmail.
I appreciate you on short notice to come by.
So what we'll do is draft up the statement, your statement as you presented it here, and give you the opportunity to look at it and make sure that,
Change it or
yeah.
stuff.
And so we can email that to you, and then
Okay.
get it back, and then we'll get you just to sign it then, as we get closer to things.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Not at this time, though.
Okay. Well, if you do, feel free to reach out to
Okay.
Cam Allen and Ms. Peach and stuff like that, and then they'll get with me, and most likely they'll might be able to answer you more of your questions,
All right.
because I'm just a dumb old general.
Jace, do you need anything else for, any clarifications on names or anything as you?
I should be good. I'll have to go back. to
Okay,
the-
okay.
the best.
And if names are misspelled, then just go ahead and correct them and stuff, because we just,
Got all the names.
yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, thanks very much. I wish you the best in all this other stuff. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.